Greetings, everyone. David J. Coon with Qigong Awareness, author of Qigong for Beginners: Your Path to Greater Health and Vitality. A little slice of me in that book. If you happen to pick up the book, I don't have any copies right now. I gave them all away, but I might have a few hole in the closet. But you might see pictures of me standing in the river and I'm all wet and I'm wearing my long qigong pants and I don't have a shirt on and I'm out there in the nature and I'm practicing qigong in the water. And you may see another picture where I am standing on top of a big tree on the side of actually quite a bit of a cliff, not a sheer cliff, but a very rocky cliff. And I'm standing on the very top of this tree, which was actually teetering a bit. It had been severed and cut, and I'm literally like above the tree line and I'm sort of balancing. I'm doing a little balancing act on that tree. I've told that story to a few people before, that the photographer, when she was, my friend Lisa was doing the photography there, and I climbed up on it and I literally heard this big tree stump start to creak like this, and I was in bare feet because, it just doesn't look good practicing Qigong in nature with shoes on. So I climbed up there and was standing in my bare feet, and literally behind me was like a huge rock pile. I mean, like huge, just rocks everywhere. If I fall that way, I'm toast, right? So maybe die, maybe not die, but I'm gonna break a lot of stuff. Anyway, wouldn't have been good. So that was not gonna happen. I was completely focused on, if anything goes, I have to fall to the front, back to this grass and dirt, rocky dirt platform, which would have hurt like heck too. But anyway, so therefore I couldn't fall. And I had to get up on top of this. I didn't have to, right? But I was just very inspired to do it. And I climbed up, and I literally climbed up twice. And twice I told Lisa, it's not going to happen. It's not worth it, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, I just felt it in me. I turned around and looked at it, and I was like, I need to do it. And I got up there and managed to get up on top of the stump. And the thing is like I can literally feel it creaking, and it's pretty big, right? And I can feel it all the way through the wood. And so my intention was to be able to raise my hands into this, what we call enhanced standing tree meditation, where my arms go straight up in the air like a rocket taking off. But I'd start to get my hands like this, and you could feel that teetering, and you could feel the creak. And I set my hands down, and I can't do it. I can't do it. I got really, really super focused. Managed to get the hands up. Hands stayed up for several seconds. Lisa was able to capture a couple of photographs and had to very slowly bring my hands back down. The reason that I wanted to do it, it was like walking a high wire. It took such concentration for me to do it, and that's why I felt like I needed to do it. And if you see that picture in the book, I don't have it with me right now, otherwise I'll show it to you, but maybe another time. But and I think I did that in one of the previous vlogs. But anyway, uh, the look on my face is priceless for me. That is exactly what I wanted to convey to my audience. I didn't want to convey, oh, hey, check it out. He's in pretty good shape. He's standing there with his shirt off on top of a tree. What the heck does that have to do with anything, okay? It has to do with the fact that I love nature. Nature is my God. God is in nature. Whether we want to call it Tao or Source or whatever, I found God in nature. I'm going to tell you a story. It's story time. Do you have your water? Do you have your tea? It's story time right now. Be sure to bless your water before you drink it. Say some good stuff over it. I already have. Make sure you say it over yours. This is a true story. Now, when I tell you this story, some of you are not going to believe it. You're going to be literally like, okay, he's stretching the story. It's probably like that big fish story he told about climbing up on top of that you know, big stump, the big tree, half a tree. Was it really going to creak and fall over? Was it really a rock face on the other side? Would you have gone to the hospital? Yeah, I really would have. So on one hand, it might have consider it stupid, but on another hand, it had to be done, and I did it. And anyway, so, but this is a true story. So I was 25 years old, and I don't think I've told this in any of the vlogs so far. If I have, somebody can come back and remind me, okay? You said it in this vlog, but anyway, I don't think I told this one. I was 25 years old, and I had a spinal disease still. The doctors at that point said, hey dude, your spine looks like you're 85 years old, and in the next 5 years you're going to be crippled. Now, I've told aspects of this story, but I haven't told all these details. I'm about to give away all the secrets, okay? So it's mind-blowing, okay? So stay tuned. It's mind-blowing. It blows my own mind, all right? Okay, so I leave my house one night and I go out, and it had become a habit where I'd go out to these fields, soccer fields in the middle of a forest. There's like a, in Connecticut, there's a um, private school, and they own these soccer fields, and it's like right in the middle of the forest, beautiful trees and everything and water and stuff. Anyway, I went out there. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was a beautiful full moon was so lit up, and very, very surreal. It was like I was on a movie set. The clouds on the baseball fields and the soccer fields, because they're kind of adjoined, were literally like above waist high. They're probably like up to here, okay? Just amazing cloud cover and mist, and I'm walking in mist. And literally, as I was walking across the field, you could not see the fences. There were fences there, and you could not see the fence until you got right on top of it. Like literally from maybe whatever, 10 or 15 feet away, you could not see the fence. It was just cloud cover, so I'd move very slowly through it. And I had my best friend and Rottweiler with me there at the time, and she was sort of patrolling the area and helping me sort of negotiate the mist. It was just amazing, right? But having said that, I was not in a good mood. I was not in a good mood at all. I was just so angry and so frustrated. I'd been practicing Qigong and martial art and meditation and studying psychology and Western psychology and Eastern psychology and spirituality and New Age teachings and quantum physics. All of that combined at that point for about 10 years. And I'd been going to chiropractors, massage therapists, physical therapists, healers, etc. I could not heal my spine. And after this 10 years of struggling with this and being around my same family and everything, and I love them dearly, but they were all wrestling. Everybody wrestling with alcoholism, everybody wrestling with their own sort of inner demons related to all of that, okay? Bad habit in the family. It was one of the big habits, one of the big bad habits in the family, okay? And whenever there's alcoholism in the family, if you have alcoholics in your family and so on, you'll know this already. So it won't be a newsflash to you. But the alcoholic believes that everything is a problem. Everything's a problem. But the alcohol's not a problem. They always have another problem. There's always like another gazillion problems, but it's not the alcohol. No one ever points to the alcohol and goes, I think the alcohol might be part of the problem because I don't wake up until late in the afternoon the next day, and therefore I don't have a good job and I can't pay my bills, or like, whatever the thing is, okay? Everybody's in a different situation, but that's a general idea, right? If you wake up hungover every day, it's probably going to be pretty difficult to gain a positive momentum. So then you have all these problems stacking up, and then what's going to happen from there, you're going to have negative conversations, quote unquote, negative focused conversations about all the problems that you have, and then it's just a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle, and it's just really not good. So, okay, so I'm around that a lot, and I'm trying to break out of it, and I love my family and everything, but I'm trying to find my own way, and I'm trying to find a better way, and so on. So there I am in the field. I'm really angry, super angry, and I start just going off like on the sky. I'm like, look, what the hell is going on in my life? I probably threw a few F words in there, and I'm not talking about the word friend or the word fish or the word feels good. Anyway, so just venting. And I went off for like an hour and I'm just like venting, 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 venting. And I'm talking out loud. And I'm literally having a conversation with God. I'm having a conversation with Tao. I'm having a conversation with nature. I'm just letting it all hang out. I'm trying to, that was part of me discovering, like, knowing myself. This is another form of journal writing without the journal. You're talking out loud. At first you have nothing to say, and then you start getting on a roll, and then pretty soon you can't shut up. That was my case, okay? Anyway, so after like an hour of venting and just going off, all of a sudden I get to this place where I'm like, I just got soft and I got quiet. And what was really mind blowing to me is that it was the first time in my life that I remember feeling, one of them anyway, one of them. I don't know if it's the very first time. I used to spend a lot of time in the forest when I was little, but and younger. But it was the first time in a long time that I felt like this presence just kind of holding me. It wasn't judging me. It wasn't yelling back at me. It wasn't telling me I was stupid for my ideas. It wasn't telling me you shouldn't be angry. It wasn't judging me. And I all of a sudden I felt this like huge relief, and I started to have this surreal experience. And like I said, the whole situation was surreal. The full moon, there's when I got quiet, the owls started hooting and different things. I heard some coyotes howling and stuff. And it was very, very serene and calming and so on. And I just had this thought to myself that, if there is a God or a source or whatever, that I didn't have any interest in this God or this source or this Tao if it couldn't take me in like a wounded child. If it couldn't take me in and say, hey, everything's going to be okay. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. Then I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want anything to do with this God, this source, this whatever. I don't want anything to do with it. Right? But all of a sudden I dropped my attitude, and I just felt supported and loved. And I got soft. I got quiet, and I put forth like a prayer. And I basically said, and this is what I said, and this is the part that's kind of mind blowing, still mind blowing to me to this day, is I said something like God, source, Tao. I said, I believe I have a mission. I believe I have a path. I believe I have a purpose. I believe I have a message. I don't know what it is. And I don't know who I'm supposed to give it to. And like up until that point, I never had said that before in my life, really, that I can remember. Okay, maybe when I was very little, actually, but as I got older and was a teen and in my early 20s, like I'd like kind of like abandoned that, I guess. And all of a sudden, there it was coming out of me, my deep truth, and I'm like, I believe that I have something to offer. And I literally said this. I said, I don't think this is what it is, but if you want me to get a podium and put it on a street corner, tell me because I will do it. Even though I don't think that's what you want, tell me because I'll go do it. And there was a time period in somewhere in my, probably from like 8 to 12 years old, where I thought one day I might grow up and be a priest. I had some inkling about that in that kind of time period. And then at 15, around that age, I kind of abandoned that idea and so on. But hence the conversation about getting a podium and so on. Anyway, so this is the mind-blowing part. The next day, I was driving home from college. I was on my way home. I was literally about to turn and go down this road that would have passed right past those soccer fields. And a voice in my head, other than my own, which has happened to me, a bunch of times in my life. It's always very soothing. It's sort of a heightened volume, but very gentle. And I know that it's not me. That's the best way I can say it and describe it. It's pretty awesome. I wish it would happen more often. Maybe it will now that I said it. But anyway, I'm in the car and I'm driving and I'm about to take a left turn. And the voice in my head says, go straight. It actually says, don't go left, go straight. That's what the voice said. Don't go left, go straight. So I said, okay. So I keep going straight, and I had had that happen before. And one time my steering went out, and the voice said to me, turn right here, right now. And I turned right into an empty parking lot, and then literally I was like, what's the big deal? I'm like, and then I got to a stop sign. There was nobody there, and I just like turned left to go into this empty parking lot. So I run the stop sign because there's literally no one in this mall. The mall's being like torn down. I literally turn left, and my car just keeps going straight. So I learned to listen to this voice, not just in the car, but in other places. But in that case, two stories with the car. Anyway, so I keep driving, no more voice. I'm driving in this direction, and I'm like, well, what's going to happen here? Because there's nothing else going on around here, right? Like there's nothing this way, okay? So all of a sudden, I come upon a friend's place of business. I hadn't seen him in many years. He, at one point, did some videography for me. He was like a Tai Chi teacher. He was a hairdresser, and along with his girlfriend, and both of which I knew. And I was like, I haven't seen them in like a year, something, 2 years. Maybe I should just pull in. Maybe that's where I'm supposed to go. So I pull in. I go walking in one door, and I look down a whole row of barber chairs. There's at least 8 or 10 of them in this salon. Okay, it's like a salon more than it is a barber shop. But anyway, I look down these 8 or 10 seats. At the very end seat, this guy is cutting this woman's hair, and he's talking to these 3 other women. And this is literally, again, the day after I said this, okay, to this guy. And he turns around and he looks at me. He doesn't say, hey, hi, David, nice to see you. Haven't seen you in 2 years. He looks at me, he looks me right in the eyes, and he says, this is no joke. He looks at me and he says, it's like if you got a podium and you put it on a street corner. No one would listen to what you have to say. But if you follow your heart, people will come and find you. Tell me that's not straight out of a movie. Tell me that's not straight out of a dream. I literally was flabbergasted. My jaw just dropped. I sat down about 4 seats away from them. To this day, it still blows my mind because I sat there for probably about 15 minutes. Do you know he never said anything else to me? It was as if they didn't even notice that I was there. It was almost like he went into some kind of trance and said it to me. So the next day I'm thinking, even that day I was thinking, oh my God, this dude is psychic. He doesn't have any idea how psychic he is, and this, that, the other thing. And so I went right back out to the sky that night. I started speaking to the sky again, and I was asking questions like, where should I go? What should I do? I have this idea. I have this vision. And I just started talking and sort of free-flowing with it. And the next thing you know, I'd show up at college the next day. I was going to the University of Connecticut at the time, and I'd show up. And all of a sudden, people would come up to me and they'd ask me questions like, what are you going to school for? What are you doing? What are you up to? And I'd start to tell them something, and then they would immediately say something like, and it would always be like, it always stand out. They'd be like, do you mind if I tell you a story? And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And then they would literally tell me a story, and they'd start their story with the prayer that I just said out loud to the wind, the sky, the river, the day before. And then literally here they are, and they're telling me the story. And then they're answering questions for me. I won't go into the details about that right now. That'll take a whole lot longer. But the main point is they were answering all these details, all of these details. Now, when we get quiet, we become quiet, we become prayerful, we become meditative, we get out in nature, which is, for me, it works real well, or even a quiet room or a quiet bathtub with some nice water running and a candle lit and so on. That is where psychic information can come. That is where presence can come. That is where calming can come. Qigong is another form of practice of accessing that. Can help us get into a meditative, supple state. When we are in touch with our intuition, Okay, and I talk about this a lot in our certification program, in the seminars that I teach, etc. There's a whole training behind it. I'm just going to kind of talk about it briefly here for a moment. But learning to get in touch with your gut, your intuition, as opposed to the monkey mind that's always going on in your head, that monkey mind, you cannot rationalize with it. You cannot, in other words, you can't make sense out of nonsense. You can't rationalize with the irrational. You cannot rationalize with programs from your parents' dysfunctional DNA, okay, or however you want to say that. When you get quiet, and a lot of people don't take the time to do it, they don't see the need for it, the importance for it. But everything from driving my car and going the right place versus the wrong place, on putting down money on a lease versus not putting money down on a lease. I can go on, right? Buying this car versus not buying that car, getting into this relationship versus not getting into that relationship, taking on this client versus not taking on that client. Your intuition is so hugely important, and your intuition will serve you if you get good at tuning into it many ways. In fact, I just told a story to somebody yesterday, had a flashback of remembering working at a hospital in Colorado, and I was on shift, sitting at the nurse's station, and it was Christmas Day. And my intuition, I was just sitting there and I was doing my sort of meditative thing. I had a little time to myself, was doing a little meditative thing. And literally, we had a row of hallway with many boys' rooms. Okay, there's maybe, I don't know, 20 rooms down that hallway, and then this other hallway there was maybe like 8 rooms, and that was like the girls wing. Okay, and it was separated by a nurse's station. I was sitting at the nurse's station. Christmas Day, literally, I'm sitting there, and this one wasn't a voice, yet it kind of was, but it wasn't totally audible. It was more of a feeling and a push of energy. And I got up from the nurse's station and I walked down. There's a whole row of rooms there, right? I was brought to a very specific room. I opened up that door, and literally there was a young boy, and he was turning blue in the face, and he had hung himself from the bathroom door, and the chair was kicked out, and he was literally hanging from the door. I literally went over, I stripped the sheet. It was a sheet that was he was using to hang himself. I literally stripped the sheet down. I pulled him off the door, saved his life, brought him to a safer place, safer location. I went back to the where we could monitor him, and I went back to the nurse's station. I was literally sitting there. Now, how often does that happen? Number one, could have been a lucky guess or whatever. I don't know what you want to call that, but I'm sitting at the nurse's station, and literally, I can't remember how long it was. It might have been an hour later or something, and all of a sudden I got this inkling. Same thing. This time it was down the girls' hall. And it wasn't like I went to every door, because we're not really supposed to do that when they have closed door time. We're supposed to trust them that like they're doing what they need to be doing. I went to this one girl's room. I knocked on the door. She didn't answer the door. I opened the door. Guess what? She was also hanging herself. 2 in one day. All right, anyway, these are examples of what your intuition can help you do. Turn here, don't turn there. Go here, don't go there. But again, it is something you have to get in touch with, and it's something you have to train. Now, the world around you and outside of you is very noisy. Most people here, as Jesus used to say, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. They are trying to manipulate you, coerce you, sell you something, take advantage of you to survive. They think they need to, like, Darwin's survival of the fittest. They haven't figured out yet this idea of karma, that which ye sow, ye shall reap, or what the Buddha called karma, or what the Buddhists say, for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction, or what I like to call the boomerang effect. You throw the boomerang out, and depending on how you throw the boomerang out, it's either going to come back nice and soft and you're going to catch it in your hand, or it's going to hit you in the back of the head and take you out. Okay, so however you want to look at it, or throwing the stone in the pond like I talked about in the last vlog, okay? Those people don't know that yet. They're in an unawakened state of consciousness. I lived there for a brief while, for about 3 years or 5 years in my teens and so on. I lived there for a little while. I know what it's like. Not interested in going back there, but I believed in that survival of the fittest idea, and luckily I didn't do anything too crazy or whatever, but that's a scarier and more dysfunctional way to live. Anyway, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. But once you figure out what you're doing, there's also a saying, okay? The saying goes like this. There's different ways to say it, but it goes like this. I am the I am the light, I am in need of nothing. I know it's a radical statement, but Jesus used to say, for example, my Father and I are one. And that means that I'm one with the source. That means I have access to all things. And as I give, so shall I receive. And I receive in the moment that I give, and I also receive later. That's a very spiritual thing. It's a very spiritual thing. So get in touch with your spiritual self. Do it in a formal Qigong practice. Learn some meditation, get centered. Learn about yourself, know yourself, not just your wants and your desires, although I think that's important, talked about in the last vlog. Discover where your center is. Discover how to quiet your mind. Discover how important it is to quiet your mind. Get outside in nature, go for a walk, fill yourself up with energy. Because if you don't have energy, guys, gals, if you don't have energy, you have no power. It's like chapter 2 in my book. No energy, no power. What power do you have to influence your life, to get a new job, to get a new career, to change a dysfunctional relationship, to heal a disease? What power do you have? You have to refuel your energy system. In order to refuel your energy system, you have to come back to your spirit. It's easier to come back to your spirit when you're out in the middle of nature, because the energy of spirit is so abundant. If you're around concrete and noise and 5G and fluorescent lights and computers and advertisements and billboards and people trying to sell you everything, you're away from your power. So if I want to control you, I want to manipulate you, I want you to buy my Levi's jeans, then I just need to suck you away over here. But I'm not interested in any of that. I'm interested in you coming back to your spirit. I'm interested in you coming back to your power. I'm interested in you coming back to your intuition, so that your intuition can guide you through the difficult things that you have going on in your life, because the intuition knows the way. This noise in your head, the ego monster, the little monster or bully, it does not know the way. And when it goes rogue on you, and it's going rogue and all going crazy and so on, and you feel like you're losing your mind, I know it's difficult, but be grateful that you are, because you are losing your mind. But now get to nature. In other words, if it cracks, that's a beautiful thing. Look at like somebody like Eckhart Tolle. It cracked, and then he achieves a state of nirvana, so to speak, okay? Anyway, save that for another day, but for those of you that get the reference, you know what I'm saying. So, but get out to nature, get to someplace quiet, tune in to your deeper self, practice Qigong, build up your energy, then go to your journal writing. Then train your focus. Then start to set some priorities and some goals. And then from there, we begin to then work with attitudes in motion. How can we take certain attitudes into our day, okay, so that we don't lose all of what we're gaining over here. If we're training Qigong, we're practicing Qigong, we're going out in nature, we're journal writing, we're gathering all this great energy. But then we go forward into our day and we lose our center, and we lose our connection to our intuition, and we lose our connection to our spirit, and we're feeling de-energized, so to speak. And you get into that place of emptiness, and then you have a crap attitude, and this ego attitude comes in and starts to take over. That's where we need some attitudes to actually take on the road. Stay positive, stay focused, and keep going in the direction that we want to go. I'm going to get to that in the next vlog. I will see you guys soon. Thank you for tuning in. Have a fantastic moment, whatever your moment happens to be. Nighttime, day, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm glad that you are here tuning in with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next vlog. Thank you very much. And be well.